Hi everybody, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine and I have a finger puppet tutorial to share with you today. We are using some Lamb's Pride bulky yarn as well as that finger puppet base. Both of those items can be purchased from achildsdream.com. More information about these products are in the description box below. So I'm going to be making some really long purple hair. Yep, you saw that right. We are using purple for her hair, and that is because this finger puppet is inspired by a video game icon. So my 6-year-old daughter has requested this for my 19-year-old son, and so that is why she's got some beautiful purple hair. I actually end up liking her quite a bit, even though while I'm making her, I'm a little bit skeptical as how it's all going to turn out. I'm using bulky weight yarn, and I prefer this yarn over the thinner yarns because I feel like it gives for a nice, good, thick head of hair, but you could use thinner yarn if you wanted to. You can also use the worsted weight yarn by Lamb's Pride. You might just use a little bit more in order to cover the whole head. Now, as I'm not going to be covering her hair with any headbands or hats or anything like that, I want to make sure that it looks really good and that there's no glue sticking through and that it's not too matte in any one place. So the first thing I do is just start at the top, and then I lift these different layers, and then I'll kind of fill it in all the way to the back of the neck. And then at the end I might go back and just make sure that there aren't any really flat parts on top and make sure that there's no glue showing. So now I'm just going to give her some really long wispy bangs. You can see they practically cover her face, but at the end I'm going to pull her hair back, and so that's why it's especially full right now. The last thing we want to do is just trim off the hair and give her a nice little haircut. And you can see that her hair is super long, and it is even longer than the base of the finger puppet. And that's because I am going to make her outfit really long so that she's about an inch maybe, or even 2 inches longer than the base of the finger puppet. So I am using some gray wool felt. This is 100% wool felt, and this is from the winter pack, and that's also available at Achilds Dream. And I'm going to give her an asymmetrical dress, and I'm actually trying to copy another finger puppet that I did a few months ago, and it doesn't actually turn out exactly the same because the finger puppet bases were different, so I couldn't quite get the same look, and so I struggle with this a little bit, and then I end up folding back the top parts to kind of give her a V-neck look to this gown. So I'm only adding a little bit of glue just to keep it all in place, and that was so that I can continue to work on her dress. Otherwise, I would have put a bit more glue, but I end up not even having to add any more by the time I'm done. Now I'm going to do a lot more to her outfit, and you could do this before you glue it on in place, but I found that it's a little bit easier just to kind of set it and then continue to work on the design. So what I want to do is add a couple of things, a necklace and some embellishments to her outfit, and so I've gone into my beads and I have made her a little necklace. Now I want to make sure that this stays in place, and I'm just using some hot glue, but I'm kind of tucking it underneath her outfit, so I think that having the felt over the back will help keep it in place. The next thing I want to do is add a little detail here to her collar and kind of fold it down. And I thought that I would sew it in place, but it actually was way too complicated and didn't work so well. And so I decided just to use a little bit of glue, and it works perfectly, and it's very durable. And if you didn't want to use hot glue, you could use a tacky glue. It would take longer to dry, but you would have a longer work time. I tend to use the hot glue for its durability and because it's super quick. So I put a couple of beads onto her collar, and I know that those are likely to fall off, but as my kids are older than 3, I'm not so worried about those things being chokeable hazards, and if they do fall off, then I can easily re-glue it in place. But the bulk of these finger puppets maintain themselves really well over the years because it is so durable, and the felt stays onto the base of those finger puppets really well. Now I pulled some embroidery thread, and I am doing a loop stitch to give some additional detail and design to her outfit. So I'm going to go through and do all of the edges, and it's just a really nice way to give some interest. Now when I was done, I actually didn't like it at all. But after the work, I wasn't about to take it out. And the thing is, it actually grew on me. By the end of it, I actually really like it. But once I was done, I thought, oh, all that work, and I really don't like the way it looks. Now, you could use a different stitch. You could do a blanket stitch, which I've done before and I really like. But I thought a loop stitch would give a little bit more of the design, like more of the embroidery thread would show rather than in a blanket stitch. But you could play around with it and do a variety of things. And initially, I actually wanted to glue down beads along the whole edge of her outfit. But as we did that before and they fell off really quickly, I decided I would just do the stitching instead. And I wanted to give her a cape, which was kind of not necessary either, but I decided to go ahead and give her a cape because I'm trying to actually copy the design of this woman warrior on this video game, which actually has an outfit completely different than the one that I'm showing you, but as it's a finger puppet, we had to improvise. But I am going to give her a sword, and I'm just using these flat toothpicks to do that. And then I kind of give her a sheath, but not a really great one, and so it kind of sticks out, and that's okay. When you get these little movable little elements to the finger puppets, my kids are overjoyed with them, so it doesn't matter how simple they are. The fact that you can remove the sword from this little pocket that I'm going to make her delights my daughter to no end. And also the fact that the necklace is loose, like in the front, you can kind of flick it up and down. She loves those kinds of details. And so I try to include those in the finger puppets that I spend a little more time with. This one took about 40 minutes to do. So this is a really long finger puppet. Usually it takes about 20 minutes to do a simple one. But as I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do it and I had trouble with her outfit, it did take a little bit longer. And of course, whenever you do stitching, that's going to add a good 10 to 15 minutes. So I've added a little hair tie to the back of her hair, and then I just added a little embellishment to the back of that. And again, those little details completely delight my daughter. And she loved this one, but immediately she gave it to my 19-year-old son. She wanted me to make this for him. Actually, she tried to make one on her own and was struggling, and so I just told her that I would help her out, and this is how it turned out. And while this was not my favorite when I finished her, by the end of it, I really liked her, in part for her magnificent purple hair, which I absolutely love, and I'm going to have to make another one for her with that purple hair. Okay, if you want to see some of the other tutorials we have for our peg dolls and our finger puppets, I've left a couple of playlists here for you. And if you want to see what we're up to on a daily basis, you can find me on Instagram at Pepper and Pine.